As we saw in an earlier chapter, you can change a document's size by going to the File menu and choosing Document Setup. When you do this, it has the effect of changing every page in the document, including your master pages, which is a topic I cover later in this chapter. For example, if I change this height to something like 12 inches and click OK, you'll see that every page throughout the document changes. They all got taller. I'll choose Undo from the Edit menu, and you'll see it goes back to the way it was. In most documents, every page is the same size, but sometimes you need to alter your page size. For example, in this document from the Exercise Files folder, the brochure document, I have a trifold. This is 3 panels, front and back. The one on the right side is the cover, the front of the brochure, and this panel over on the left is going to fold inside when this all gets folded up. If all 3 panels were exactly the same width, we'd have a problem when it came to fold it. You know, the laws of physics and all of that. Instead, we must make this last panel, the one that's on the left on this side, slightly narrower so that it folds inside the other 2. Before I change the size, I need to point out that this really is 3 pages in a single spread. We can see in the Pages panel, we have 3 pages up here and 3 pages down here. It may not be obvious to you at first how you get a 3-page spread, so let me show you. First, I'll choose Insert Pages from the Pages panel flyout menu. I'll specify the number of pages I want, and I'll say where I want them. In this case, I'm going to put them at the end of the document. Now, I have 3 individual pages, all very narrow, each on their own spread. In order to get them together, I need to make sure that Allow Document Pages to Shuffle is turned off in the Pages panel menu. When that's turned off, I'll drag this over to the left until I see this icon, which indicates that the 2 pages are going to fit together. Now I'll do it to the 3rd page. For this brochure, I obviously don't need those, so I'll go ahead and select them and delete them. Once again, on page 1, this left panel on the first spread, I need to make it a little bit narrower. So to do that, I'm going to grab the Page tool. That's the 3rd tool down in the tool panel. The Page tool is a little bit non-obvious in how it works. So here's the trick. After you choose the Page tool, click on the page that you're trying to affect. That could be a master page, or in this case, a document page. I'll simply click on this, and you'll see it's highlighted. It has these side handles around it. Next, to change the size, I go to the Control panel and change the Width field. The Width field right now is set to 266 points. I want to make it a little bit smaller, maybe 6 points smaller. But before I make that change, I must go and make sure that the reference point in the left edge of the Control panel is set up properly. The reference point tells me what part of this page is going to stay stationary, what's locked, and everything else will move around that point. I'm going to choose any one on the right side and then change the width to 260 points. You can see that as soon as I hit Enter or Return, it changed the size of that panel, and it did it based on the reference point, which is the right edge of the page. Because this is a double-sided brochure, I need to do the same thing to the next spread. I'll double-click on the 4 to 6 spread, and that shows me 3 more pages. I need to change the right page. So I'll click on the right page. Because this is a 2-sided brochure, I need to do the same thing on the 2nd spread, the inside of the brochure. So I'll double-click on this 4 to 6 page spread in the Pages panel, and then I'm going to click here on top of the page. Now be careful, don't click on top of an object on the page. That does something slightly different in InDesign CS6. I need to click on the page itself to make sure that I have these handles around the edge of the page. Next, I'll go up to the Control panel, and before I change the Width field, I have to make sure that the reference point is set properly. Let me show you what happens if I don't change the reference point. I'll just make this 260 points. The right edge of the page stayed stationary, and the left edge changed. That means I actually have a gap in between this page, and that obviously is not what I'd want. That would print out completely incorrectly. So let me undo that, Command-Z or Control-Z, change the reference point, this time to the left edge, and change this to 260 points. And now we can see that the page changed. It got a little bit narrower on that side. So that page will fold in properly and end up in the proper place, and we won't have any problems when we're folding or binding. There are many other examples of when you might want to change individual page sizes. If you're creating stationery for a client, for instance, one page of your document might be letterhead, the next page could be an envelope, and the third a business card. You can mix and match all of that inside one InDesign document using the Page tool.